Good morning everybody, it's Christian from Student Education with the 4 Majors Notice Update for the 21st of November. Hi guys, hope you had a fantastic weekend with family and friends, and back to the grind. Okay, let's see what happened. Interesting, Friday saw a plateau here at 13,4500, been beaten up on a daily here, pretty much bearish candles to the downside followed by an indecision doji, and then followed by upside movement. Is this going to be the morning star? Is it a morning star pattern? Ideally like to see further engulfing here. Price did pull back during the US session close, and not really engulfing the prior day. That prior day pretty much coming here roughly around the 13,500, which happened to be price support and resistance on a number of occasions. So what we still have though is lower swings. Going into this, price action still all below moving averages. Still very much the CTC in a negative downside. What we need now is a failure at 13,500. We need to see price failing at this area here. Notice a long wick, more happening in the bottom end of the candle. That's got to play out again over here. We've got to see a failure at prior support. This will be now new resistance at 13,500. And then we should see a continuation lower. Trend direction still playing lower. All the moving averages above price, and the CTC, the all important CTCs in our favor. However, if we do see 13,500 being breached, that could potentially mean intraday that we could see further upside movement taking place, and that momentum will build up for further momentum throughout the week. And if we get above 13,500 and close higher on the daily, then that could indicate that we should see further extensions to the upside. So if we just look at the downside from the top of this bearish candle to the low, and just see where price is trading at the moment, 23.6 is a support, intraday support, so we need to see price building up on that support so it can stay above 23.6. Here roughly around the 13,501, or I think it is. Let's have a look here quickly. 1351, yeah. Then we should see at least the 38.2, which is up here, 13,500 being the first target. Break above that, and finding support would look at 50 and then 61 intraday. So if we just go to an intraday chart, you see I have a 30 minutes on here already, and I've plotted an area prior resistance, a prior high down to the low that you've seen recently in 23.6. is here at 13,100, and it's been trading sideways throughout the Asian session last night. Just moving sideways tentatively in this consolidation period, but above that 23.6. Now it needs to build on that. So what I've done is I boxed it, and I said, well, okay, great. If you give me a bearish engulfing and it closes lower than 13,500, then ultimately we should be looking for further downside movement. If, however, we see a nice break higher and engulfing the highs of the Asian session here at 13,400, then ultimately we should be looking at the next target, 38.2, which is going to take us up to the 13,700 mark, followed by the 50% at this 1361, and ultimately 61% retracement here at 13,600 during the intraday course. But you can quite clearly see a price support here, not too long ago, back on the 10th, end of 9th and 10th of this month, and you can see the price is trading above that. So if we can keep the momentum higher and keep building on that, then we should see ultimately higher highs intraday. If not, a failure here sentiment wise and a bearish engulfing within the European session open this morning should see price reverting to the downside, and we should be seeing 13,400 back on the charts again for first target to the downside. So it's very, very important if it's to remain bullish. You can see the relative strength through this period here. This bottom of we have between the 16th, 17th, and 18th, we saw RSI going positive as we saw this correlation, and sure enough during the latter part of the US session on Friday we saw momentum building, but we saw a major pullback, and now we've been in the consolidative range for a number of hours. So ideally we want to see, and you'll notice that price failed to break below 23 again since their breakout, and by doing so we would like to try and see price hammering out a support here at this level here, which happened to be prior resistance. So now prior support and prior resistance. If there's going to be support over here now, then we should be likelihood is to see further extensions higher during the course of the day. If not, a break lower would definitely stem, or break lower below 13,500 on a 30 minute, a nice bearish engulfing here would definitely confirm that we should be looking for further lows. Okay, sterling against US dollar next. What have we been seeing? Well, we're seeing a major on Friday. We saw upside candle moving higher on support here at the 50%, which happened to be price support, and we saw Thursday and Friday really hammering out a bottom. However, as per the euro, we didn't see it closing higher, and you can see I've done a lot of retracement, fib retracement areas here. One from the high we saw recently, all-time high, down to the bottom here, and another one from the low to the high of this pullback that we saw recently. And these are the lines that it's plotted here, and you can quite clearly see here, just above price here at the 13,8500, there's definitely a ceiling level for this pair, and yet again price fell to prior resistance, and we've seen price failing yet again at 13,8500. On a daily, you want to see if this is a genuine bounce. We want to see a definite bounce higher to confirm that we're seeing a genuine bounce. You can quite clearly see that the 15,8500 was definitely a resistance level for this pair, and over the evening's last night's trading, you can see that the session very indecisive. This morning seen price moving higher. 50% is below us at price support and resistance. Here again, you can quite clearly see that the 50 is at price support and resistance just around about the 1570-200 mark, or 15,700. There is support there, so ideally we're going to see further extensions lower. The CTC is still pointing lower on a daily. Then we need to see price closing lower than that. So ideally a bearish engulfing out to close a low 15,700 would definitely indicate that we should be looking at potentially price support and resistance here at the 15,600, 1563, 6400 is our next potential target on our way to the downside. So if intraday, we need to see price obviously breaking, closing lower than that all important price support and resistance here at the 15,700 mark. So if we look at our intraday charts, bring it up, here's a 30-minute, for example. You can see the highs that we came from here on the 8th and 9th. We've seen price moving relatively to the downside. We had breakouts during that course, failing to actually materialize on that, and then pulling back down to the intraday. But you'll notice that the institution moving average, a lot more happening below the institution moving average. Friday's upside movement, we did see clearing it, however not breaking and closing higher than a prior resist. The actual breakout resistance here at 5900, and because of that, pretty much falling back down to the downside. And you can see on the Asian session, price really opening lower, and we've seen a pullback in play now, back up to 61.8 as where it is now, which happened to be price support intraday. So as it stands now, all the moving averages above price, and the CTC has gone red. So ideally, to see further extensions lower, we want to see a failure here at 61.8, price failing to break higher in this consolidation upside move. And by doing so, you can see that the close on Friday, that is our prior swing. Okay, so we have a higher swing than we saw during the morning session or afternoon open on Friday. That's our trend to the downside, and because we're trading negative on the daily, we should be looking for further extensions to the downside. So a failure here at the 1576 mark, roughly the 61.8, would definitely confirm further downside. You can see a lot of resistance here at 1579, 15800, and if you look on our daily, that coincides with that prior resistance area here on the daily. Okay, so painting a picture intraday, it's got to stay below the institution moving average, which happens to be around that 15800 mark, which is our daily resistance on to the top side. So a lot of resistance on the upside here for price, so we should be looking for consolidation with an outlook for further extensions lower when it cannot fail to break higher than this area at the top here. US dollar Swiss franc, let's see what's happening on the daily. Here you can see consolidation, price falling back, but however finding a bit of support during the Asian session and kicking higher this morning. And what we want to see now is ultimately the 930 being our next potential target on this pair. If you look at the lows that we've had recently to the high, yeah, just above the 9300. If you look at the retracements, you can see price action pretty much well above 23.6 and building a lot of steam on that, making highs, swing highs, and sure enough, that's been dictating upside swing high, and now we've seen price action reattempting those that pullback. The thing to notice here, if you just take the bullish engulfing candle here to the upside, you can see that price, if I just zoom in here, You can see quite clearly that prices found support at the 38.2% mark here overnight. If we can build up on that, then definitely 925 would be our next potential target intraday level. Ultimately back up to 930 would be our long-term target for the time being. If we break above 930, then we should be trying to look for support, confirmation support above that to build up on. As it stands now, we're heading slightly higher on the European session open, and you can see if it pulls back any further, then 50% will take it to a prior resistance level here at the 910 mark. So if price can stay above 910, then we should see ultimately price building going into the remainder of this week. So intraday, we know that 910 is going to be our support. So, and then 925 is going to be our ultimate target intraday, followed by 930, excuse me. So if you look at the 30-minute frame, for example, you can see momentum really moving higher this morning. Been sitting, consolidating against the going in a sideways motion, pretty much not going up or down. However, you can box that. You can quite clearly see there are wicks to the upside and wicks to the downside, and we want a confirmation. We want to see either big bearish engulfing or big bullish engulfing to give us that indication where price is likely to go to. We know on a daily that we're trading higher than the 910, which happens to be that support area to the upside. So price can build up on that, and we're trading still higher on that. Then ultimately we should see further extensions to the upside with a likelihood at 9230, 930 being our ultimate target. But as it stands now, we could be looking at potentially these areas here at 92350 being our first target. So if we look at the lows that we saw recently to the highs, you can clearly see the 23.6 at 917 is definitely a price support and resistance. If price can stay above that, then obviously we should be looking for further extensions higher. If not, then we should be looking for 38.2 as our first target to the downside. Second target 9 here at 910 at 50%, as we pointed out on the daily chart, followed by 61.8. If it gets below 50, 61, then we've seen definite break in trend, and we should be looking for further extensions way back down to here to 89.5. Intraday, you can see where price is trading on 30-minute chart. That's line over here at the top here. This is the 61.8. It needs to be trading above that in order to be considered bullish. At the moment now it's trading well below that. Institution moving average also above price, and you can see that on the occasions on Friday and Thursday, Wednesday, pretty much last week, trading below that area, and sure enough we saw relative strength actually gaining strength, but however not closing, and on occasions closing above the 50% line, but never seen price above the institution moving average. Got to be a trading above the institution moving average to give us a clear indication we should be seeing further upside bullishness on that. That never materialized, so there was never ever an entry to the upside. And so as it stood, we saw early morning Friday price falling to the downside, then a bounce higher, and we saw the highs being tested at the close of the Euro session. However, since then the Asian market has seen price trading lower this morning going into European session open, and we're back below 50, RSI is below, trend line has been in play, the institution moving, everything's above, so it looks like price action is still falling lower, and ultimately 76.55 would be our first target intraday to the downside. That's it, guys. Hope you have a fantastic trading day. Hope you have, make sure that if you are using CTC to please back it up with sound money management rules. Other than that, have a look and see if there's any fundamental news today that could pose any threats to price action as we see on the chart. Not really much this morning. If I look at it quite closely, we have we've got current accounts at 9 AM GMT for Euro, followed by Canadian wholesale month-on-month figures, and then 3 PM GMT this afternoon we have the US dollar existing home sales. So not much else other than that, but we have seen a change, a new party being voted in the Spanish government, a real landslide victory there. So we're seeing a lot of things happening in Europe, and I think Europe is still going to be the most important elements of the trading scene going into the remainder of this week. So heads up, keep your trading simple, and most importantly, trade serenely.